Do you guys want to talk a little bit more about like when you actually started working, what were the things that you learned about that, or anything that you want to add on as a comment to what I've said?
I just like to say that I suppose the word doctor means to teach. And there's a whole lot of extracurricular things that you're thrown into that you have no idea that you're doing as a doctor. So for instance, you know, as a house officer, you're going to have trainee interns. You're going to have 6-year medical students that are following you around that you have to teach whilst you're trying to learn how to be a doctor yourself. And that's you know, something that continues throughout medicine, is that you will always be teaching.
Yeah.
And not only will you be teaching the younger people coming through, but you'll also be teaching your patients. You'll be also teaching your families. So there's a whole communication element to being a doctor, which I totally underestimated. The other part was leadership. Sometimes, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but the doctor is sometimes thrown in that leadership role in say in surgery in particular, or on the ward round. You know, you're leading the team, you're making decisions, and I'm not very good at making decisions, and I'm not very good at making them quickly, and so that I found quite challenging, was that everyone looks to you, you're the doctor, you make the decision, and I'm like, oh, okay, how are we going to go about that? So leadership skills was something that I also think is something in medicine that we're not really taught at medical school, but it's dropped on you on day one.
Yeah, I really agree with the leadership part, but also the education part, the teaching aspect is massive. And personally, I really think that it's underplayed, or like under taught or under trained in medical school, and even in when you graduate on the job training, that the educating patients, educating peers, that aspect. Personally, I found that was pretty under done, but it's such a important part. Personally, I think it's one of the most important parts about being a doctor, is just being able to educate patients. And I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, completely agree with what you said. Sanjeev, what would you add?
Yeah, I'd piggyback on those comments, especially in terms of education. Whether you like teaching or you don't like teaching, you're sort of put into that role regardless of what you think. So you have to be able to teach, people who are coming through, who are going to end up being your colleagues, who you're going to be working with. I myself quite enjoyed teaching, but I agree. I think there are lots of people who may not enjoy it as much, or did not realize how much they'll have to do. And I think it definitely is undertaught and undervalued as you're coming through med school. How to communicate and educate someone who's more junior, or patients, trying to communicate them in the right way. Probably leadership as well. You don't realize you don't really get taught how to be a leader, and how to be. Some people are natural born leaders, but I think the majority of us are not. And some people get put into the role and flourish without realizing, and other people have to learn how to do it. And it's just a matter of, you just sort of learn on experience and learn by doing. But it's something, again, that's probably undercooked when you're going through medical school, something they don't teach enough, because it could be your first day on the job, or it could be, your third year on the job, but you'll be blasted into the role as a leader, and you just have to sort of sink or swim, which can be quite scary as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sink or swim comment is so true. I think literally, I would be surprised if there's any doctor anywhere that has not felt that sink or swim mentality at some point.